Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're just seeing my video, you're welcome. My name is Stella. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be making this beautiful ball dress that you're seeing on your screen. Okay, it's for your 1 year, 7 months old baby. Now, I'll drop the link in the description box for the drafting, which we have already on this channel. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Now, I went ahead to cut out this pattern exactly. Remember, we have allowances included. So I traced it out on the lace fabric that we're working with, okay, and on the bridal satin, and I glued the lace fabric on the bridal satin. I'm using this fabric gum, okay. Now that's the only thing I did for the front piece, okay. So I just glued the edges of the lace to the doll face bridal satin, just the edges, a little of the glue, okay. Now I did the same on the back pieces as well, okay. So I glued the lace on the doll face bridal satin. That's the only thing I did, okay. Now I went ahead also to cut out bridal satin. That's doll face is what I'm working with, okay, because it's more cooler on the body of children. So my lining is also a doll face bridal satin. Now this is my back piece and that's my front piece as well, okay. Now the next thing I did is to mark my 1 inch zip allowance. Okay, remember our pattern when we were drafting, we added 1 inch zip allowance at the center back. So I went ahead to mark that out on the main fabric. Okay, so I also marked out my 0.5 joining allowance on the shoulder. Now I like to do this so that when I get to the sewing machine, I will know the areas I'm sewing on. So you don't go stitching below the 0.5 allowance that you left, okay. Now these are the tips that will ensure that your final outfit fits perfectly, okay. Now I also marked the 1 inch zip allowance, okay, on the main piece, okay. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'll stitch on it using my loose stitch. After that, I'll press it with my pressing iron. I'll press it open, then I'll take off the stitches. Now the essence of this is to ensure that my crease line is visible when it's time to fix my zip. Okay, so if you take a good look at the picture on your screen, you can see that the tulle net is extending, is longer than the lace fabric. Okay, now from her shoulder to the dress length, that is where the dress will be stopping, is 22 inches. Okay, now her half length is 8.5. So if you subtract 8.5 from the 22 inches, you'll be left with 13.5. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out my lace fabric. Now for the lace, because the lace is shorter, I made the length 11 inches. Okay, now also because I want to maintain the edge of the lace, okay, so we're not adding allowance for hemming. Now I only added 0.5 allowance, okay, for joining to the upper bodies, okay. So I added 0.5 only. So my total length for the lace is 11.5, okay. Now for the tulle length is 13.5. Remember that from her shoulder to the dress length is 22 and we subtracted 8.5, so we're left with 13.5. Now because it's a tulle, okay, and tulle, there's no how you work with a tulle and you end up with an even hem, okay. So I like to add extra allowance to that so that when I'm done I will trim out, okay. So for my tulle length I will be cutting out 15 inches, okay, so that when I'm done I will trim down and our eventual length, okay, will be 13.5. So I just said to clear that off the way. So we'll proceed now to the joining of the shoulders. Okay, so the joining process, the very first thing I'll do is to take to my sewing machine and I'll stitch down my 1 inch zip allowance, okay, using a loose stitch. After I'm done stitching, I'll stitch it on the main fabric and on the lining, okay. Now I will take that to my pressing table and I'll press it, okay. After I'm done pressing, I'll take off the loose stitch. I told us that the essence is for us to see the crease line so that you're sure you're stitching on your 1 inch, okay, so that when you're done, your zip will be at the exact 1 inch allowance that you left. Now, after I'm done doing that, we'll go ahead and join the shoulders, okay, together. Now we're joining fabric to fabric and lining to lining. So I'll pick up my back pieces, okay, of the main fabric, and I'll place them on the shoulders. Okay, remember we had marked 0.5 on the shoulder. So I'll take that to my sewing machine and I'll stitch on the shoulder of the main fabric. I'll repeat the same on the lining, okay. I'll align the back pieces on the front piece of the lining, and I'll also stitch down my 0.5 like so, okay. Then after I'm done, I'll press. Guys, I like to press out every anything I stitch down, okay. So I'll do that and I'll come back and show us. Okay, so this is my tool net, okay. So this is 12 yards of tool net. I divided it into three, so we have 4 yards of each, okay. So we have three pieces there, each one is measuring 4 yards, okay. Now I'll go ahead and fold it lengthwise, okay, until I exhaust the length. Remember that the width of this net is about 63. Normally it's by 60, but I was surprised that this is by 63. Okay, so I have folded it lengthwise. Okay, now you remember I told us that the length of the tool will be 15, so that when we are done trimming, we'll be left with 13.5. Now, we're going to mark, okay? Now, if you divide your 63 by 50, you'll be by 15, you will get 4, okay? That's 4 point something. But for this first piece, okay, I will go ahead and mark out my 15. Instead of cutting out 4, I want to make use of just 3 pieces, okay, because I'll be making another dress, so I want to make use of the tool net from here. So from this first piece, I'll cut out just 3, okay. Now I'll go ahead and cut that out. Okay, so this is one piece. I'll go ahead and cut the second one. Now this is the second piece, okay. Then let's cut the third one. Okay, so out of this these 4 yards that we folded, I will be making use of just 3. And remember, each of them is measuring 15 inches. So this one we have 3 out of it. Now the second 4 yards that we folded, I also cut out 3 pieces of out of it. Okay, so in total what we have here now is 6 pieces, each of them measuring 15 inches. Okay, now for the third one, the third 4 yards, okay, I'll also fold it lengthwise, but that one I'll be cutting out 4. Okay, so in total we will have 10 pieces of tool net. Each of them will be measuring 15 inches. So I just said to clear that for us. Okay, so I'll go ahead and fold this one out, this last 4 yards. I'll fold it and I will cut out my 4 pieces, okay, and I'll show us. Okay, so here we have it. What we have here now is 10 pieces. So let me take us through the gathering process. Now we're going to gather it. I'll first divide this into 2. Remember, we have a total of 10 pieces here, so I'll divide that into 2. That is 5 and 5. So I'll take out the first 5 and I'll gather it into 2. I'll first gather 2, gather another 2, and we'll be left with 1. So I'll gather just that 1 separate. I'll repeat the same on the other 5. Okay, I'll gather 2, gather another 2, and gather the last one. Now I'll pick up 5 and gather it to this lace. Okay, remember, I'll pick up 5 and I'll gather it to this lace fabric. By 5 I mean the first 2 that I gathered, another 2, and the last one, and I'll gather it to this lace fabric. Okay, then I'll also go ahead and cut out my lining. Okay, so I'm done joining my shoulders. This is the main fabric. Okay, I also did the same on the lining piece and I pressed that part open. Now it's time for us to join. So the first thing I did is to mark out my 0.5 allowance around the neckline and around the armhole. Okay, you know I like to do this so that it will be very clear the lines I'm stitching on. So we're going to place our fabric right sides facing each other. Okay, so the wrong side is what is facing me now. Now I'll go ahead and pin, but to stitch we're going to leave 0.5 inch away from the center line, from the center back. Okay, now we'll come back to this when we are done fixing our zip. So I'll leave 0.5 inch away from that zip line, and I'll stitch around the neckline on that 0.5. I'll also stitch around the armhole using on my 0.5 that I have marked. Now when I'm done stitching, I will trim down to 0.25, or you can notch. Now I will pull the back sides from the front like so. Okay, so when I'm done, I'll pull the back pieces from that front just like I demonstrated, and then I'll give it a good press. Okay, then I'll come back and show us. Okay, so before we get to the sewing machine, let's quickly mark out our sewing allowance. Remember, on our pattern, we left 1.5 inches, okay, as our sewing allowance. Now, let's mark that out, okay, so that when it's time, we'll just simply sew on those marked lines. So, I'm marking my 1.5 inches sewing allowance, okay, on the side. And then I'm also connecting it using my pencil. Remember, we're working with a white fabric. Okay, now I'll repeat this on the other pieces and I'll show us. So I'm done turning the neckline and the armhole area. Okay, then I pressed it. This is the inside. Okay, now it's time for us to join the side seams. Okay, remember our allowance of 1.5. So I've marked it. Okay, so we're going to open it like so. Okay, now we'll stitch this way. Okay, we'll repeat the same on the other side as well. Okay, I've marked, then we're stitching this way as well. So when I'm done, I'll press it. Okay, then we'll proceed to our tool net. Okay, so let's proceed to the tool net. Now what we have here is 10 pieces. Okay, they are 10 in number. Now we'll proceed to gather. Okay, so I'm going to gather them in twos. I'll pick up two and I'll gather it by the length. Okay, length like so. So I'll gather it by the length this way. So I'll gather them two two. Now we have 10 here. So I'll be gathering them two two and then one. So two two and one again. So I'll pick up two sets, okay, then and that one single, and I'll gather it to this waistline. Okay, I'll gather it to this to the waist, okay, to the net. Then the remaining five, I'll gather it on the lining, okay. So, and that's it. All right, so I'll do that and I'll show us before we fix our zip. Okay, so I'm done gathering my tool net on the lace and on the lining. You can see how fluffy is looking without hard net. Okay, so on the main fabric, what we have there is 5 pieces of tool net, and on the lining we also have 5 pieces as well. Okay, just like I explained earlier for us. Now we'll go ahead and fix our zip. Okay, I just love this dress. You can see how full is looking. Okay, I can't wait to finish it and for the child to try it. Now to fix our zip, let's go back. Okay, so to fix our zip, what we will do is to hold it together by the waistline using your pin. Okay, now this is a zip I will be working with, is invisible head. Okay, I'll go ahead and pin down my waistline. Okay, that's the waist of the main fabric. I'll separate the lining because we're fixing the zip on the main fabric first. So I'll pin my waistline down, then I'll measure from the waist downwards, okay, towards the hem. I'll come down by 4 inches, okay, and I'll make a mark there using my pencil. Then I'll go ahead to stitch down to my hem on 1 inch. Remember our zip allowance of 1 inch. So from that 4 inches I just marked, I'll stitch downwards, okay, to the hem of the dress on 1 inch. Okay, then I'll go ahead and fix my zip now from the neckline. Remember the ½ inch that we left when we were turning the neckline. I'll fix my zip on our 1 inch zip allowance, okay, from the neckline to that 4 inches that we marked. Now when I'm done, I will join my lining also. Now for my lining on the waistline also, I'll also come down by 4 inches. Then I'll use my lining to turn the zip. Okay, it's that simple. Now I'll show us the finished look. All right, guys, so here it is. We're done. I went ahead to cut out a bow using organza. Okay, I'll leave a link in the description box. I have a video on how I cut out my bow, very detailed and easy. So I just stitched it using my needle and thread. It's just beautiful. I didn't bother attaching another bow to the back because the dress is already looking fluffy and beautiful. Okay, so let me show us the inside of the dress. You can see how fluffy this dress is looking without hardnet. Okay, now this is our lining. I'll still go ahead and overlock my rough edges. I've not done that now, but I'll do that later. Okay, so the dress is looking beautiful and very fluffy. Okay, now the child will wear it with comfort because sometimes some babies, they get a bit uncomfortable with hardnet, okay, underneath. Now this is a lovely dress. Guys, kindly subscribe to my channel, okay, like and share so that more people can see the video. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you in my subsequent videos. Okay, so let me also mention that I used my hot gun to attach um some stones, okay, around the neckline so that it will look more glittering. Okay, so I don't like leaving any detail out. All right, so that's it. We've come to the end of the video. This is a lovely dress. Okay, I would like you to try it and let me know in the comment section if you encountered any challenge, and I'll be more than willing to put you through. Okay, I'm always here for you. Okay, so subscribe to my channel if you have not. Click on the notification bell so you get notified each time I upload a new video. All right, and bye.